Hello Animorphs fans and welcome back to the Animorphs Reviews YouTube channel. Today we're doing a small AniTheory because I've been doing an analysis research on Cassie, this character here, and I came across this book. And one of the things that I was puzzled about with book 34, The Prophecy, was why did Aldrea's Ixcila choose Cassie? Aldrea's Ixcila, of course, was brought by Quaffaginavan the Arn, who wanted to replicate a bunch of the Hork-Bajir free colony to take them back to the Hork-Bajir planet in order to resist the Yeerks on that planet yet again. So he brought down Aldrea's Ixcila, which is this spooky, booky vial of green gooey, and in that is the essence of Aldrea at the point at which she did this Ixcila thing. And they do this whole chanty thing, and the Ixcila takes basically a host to speak through. And Aldrea chooses Cassie. Why does she choose Cassie is the question on everybody's lips, and it's also the question on Cassie's lips. The Arn pulled in a wheezing breath. Only 1 in 4 ceremonies are actually completed. The appropriate receptacle mind is essential. Aldrea's Ixcila will be extracted to someone most like she was. Someone strong, fierce, independent, presumably female, Hork-Bajir or Andalite most likely, but I suppose she might gravitate towards a human, if such a human female existed. So he says, presumably female, so that narrows it down. Strong, fierce, independent. And the Animorphs go on to suspect that it will be either Toby or Rachel because they both they check those boxes. But Aldrea doesn't choose either one. She goes for the human who is the tree hugger, as Marco would call her. She's obviously not a tree hugger, but you know the type of character Cassie is. Aldrea chooses her. We call on Aldrea Ixcilian Falan, Quaffaginavan wailed. If I see one single zombie, I am... The cave floor jerked under my feet. I stumbled forward and landed on my knees in front of the Arn. The receptacle has been chosen, Quaffaginavan shouted. He reached out and put his hand on my head. Will you accept the Ixcila of Aldrea Ixcilian Falan? What? What? She chose me? That couldn't be right. Will you accept the Ixcila? Quaffaginavan repeated, his voice echoing in the cave. No, Jake snapped. But there's only one answer I could give. Yes. So throughout this book, we're left questioning why did Aldrea choose Cassie? And we can safely say it's not just down to coincidence or the authors having to go that way because it was a Cassie book in the line. We can say that much pretty much for sure. It has been an honour, Aldrea. I still don't know why your Ixcila came to me, but it was an honour. Don't you know, even now, the Ixcila is drawn to a mind that reflects it, and I like to think even that inchoate, non-conscious version of me was honourable enough to know I might be tempted, that I might be tempted to cling to life, and that I might need someone strong enough to return me to the path of my own fate. That's what Aldrea says at the end of the book. She's implying that Cassie was chosen because she knew that Cassie would have the mental strength to say to Aldrea, look, you've had your fucking moment, bugger off now. Alright then, Cassie, fine. Okay? But is that the real reason? Is Aldrea's hypothesis there really why she was chosen? Because Aldrea is quite a stubborn character. She is almost like Rachel in a way. If you read the Hork-Bajir Chronicles and some of the stuff that happens in here, she is more like a Rachel or a Toby than she is a Cassie. So the personality traits of Aldrea would suggest that Cassie wouldn't be chosen. But what else happens in this book? I'll tell you what else happens. The first chapters. When I did my review, I thought, why is this here? And I just assumed, oh, it's just to make a small parallel between Cassie and Aldrea. That parallel being the love note. Because in the first chapters of the book, Rachel and Cassie are at Cassie's teacher's house trying to retrieve something. Now's our chance, Rachel said. Let's do it. She darted into the room and leapt up to the desk. What am I looking for exactly? A doodle. It's, of a heart, I stammered. I tried to climb up the desk leg, but it was metal. My claws couldn't get a grip. Think I see it, Rachel answered. If the heart has Cassie loves Jake printed in the middle with a really dorky Cupid drawn next to it. That's it. I accidentally turned it in with my test. Just get it. And don't say anything, I warned Rachel. So that was the opening shenanigans of the book, which, after reading the book first time, you sort of think, it's a slight parallel, but it's just opening book shenanigans. What happens later in the book on the Hork-Bajir homeworld? Now we're speaking from Aldrea's perspective on the Hork-Bajir homeworld. Then I spotted something I knew, barely visible from this range. A minuscule patch where the bark had been cut away. Nothing unusual. Where there are Hork-Bajir, there is scarred bark. Friend Hawk, I called. I understand your sight is very powerful. Better than human, Tobias answered. Better than Andalite or Hork-Bajir too. I told him where to look, and he described what I'd known he would see. The wood where the bark had been scraped away was cut with symbolic branches entwined. A bit of Hork-Bajir graffiti, a love letter. The Hork-Bajir symbol for undying love, Toby told the others. It sounds as if it contains the Andalite letters A and D as well. So that is a love letter from either Aldrea or Dak to the other, A and D. So Aldrea's also done a love letter in like the heart shape with a cupid, just like Cassie did for Jake. How is this relevant? I'll tell you why it's relevant. Aldrea gravitated to Cassie because of love. All you need is love. It's stronger than any emotion. It's greater than any emotion. So as much as she might match the personality of Toby or Rachel better than Cassie, Cassie is the only person there in that cave who feels she is truly in love. She does talk about Jake being in love as well, but Cassie is also female, so probably has that extra little bit of gravitation for Aldrea. But Aldrea, as we discovered in this book, and as was a bit ambiguous in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, we discovered that Aldrea truly did fall in love with Dak. A wartime romance. Who else has a wartime romance? Cassie. I think Aldrea chose Cassie because maybe at the time Aldrea extracted her Ixcila, she was overwhelmed with love for Dak, and it was her strongest emotion during that time. And remember that this Ixcila was extracted after she'd had a child, Zero Hammy. And from what she says in here, she clearly loves Dak, so love is a big part of her personality now. Probably a lot more so than it was during the Hork-Bajir Chronicles. Love is her biggest emotion, caring for those close to her. That is what attracts her to Cassie. That's a theory, an AniTheory. And I'm going to get my judge's gavel out. And I'm going to make a judgment. Guilty. This theory is guilty of being true. As far as I, the judge, am concerned. Do you agree with me, my dear? Jury. Jury.
Yes.
Do you agree? She agrees. Therefore, she's guilty of being a lovey-dovey. And that lovey-doveyness makes the other lovey-dovey person say, I'm fucking lovey-dovey as well. I relate to that shit. That's been another AniTheory. There'll be plenty more of these to come. Not as frequently as analysis, because it just makes sense. But if you have any ideas for AniTheory, or if you want to comment on this particular theory, please do tell me in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Ta-ra.